Woohoo! Keep going. My computer's a little slow.
Yeah, a little lag there. It's okay.
Yeah. Gets you inspired.
Good. 5 more left.
That music still works for me to this day here, you know. So I think I was 13 years old when I saw this in the theaters here, you know. So
Right? It's just amazing. Never gets old.
no, I didn't.
Jab off. Jab. Try it again. We gotta move it fast. Just where is this? Very nice. That was nice.
Look at those moves, Jimmy.
He's nimble now. Remember the Titans, excellent movie.
Yeah, we talked about that one, Jimmy, right?
All right.
That's fun. Hope you guys got inspired with our Rocky clip. But welcome to Coach's Corner, as obviously we are talking about sports movies. So in the chat, we'd love to hear from you. What is your favorite sports movie? And when Jimmy and I were kind of preparing for this Coach's Corner, obviously Rocky came up for both of us. So we could talk Rocky, just Rocky all day, but we could really talk sports movies for a really long time. So we're excited that you guys are joining us. I'm Carolyn from located at the Mountains View location, and along with me, obviously, is Jimmy from the Memphis location. So, are you ready, Jimmy?
I am ready. I am ready.
All right, I love it. Excellent.
So it's
So
not
let's
only sports movies we're going to be talking about, it's also the inspiration and obstacles that they have to get over to be able to achieve the greatness that they achieve in these movies here. So there is a reason to why we're talking sports movies here. The motivation here, what motivates us, what gives us the will to do the things here. So
Great point. Great point. Because I mean, really, if you watch any sports movies, the ones you guys mentioned are great as well. And you know, there's so many more, but it's all about resilience, overcoming adversity, teamwork, right?
yeah,
Goal setting. You know, all of those things are things that we talk about in well-being, right? For our own journey, whether it's personal or professional. So we're going to talk about a couple of our favorite movies, and ones that really stick out to us, because they really win at well-being. And then we'll kind of chat about why that is. So I'm going to start us off with one of my all-time favorite movies. And I was just telling Jimmy before we hopped on here, every time I watch it, I still tear up about it because I don't know, I just love this movie so much. And nobody mentioned it yet in the chat, but my favorite movie is Rudy. So if you haven't seen the movie Rudy, it's like back from 1993. So it's an older movie, but it just really shows all about overcoming obstacles. So if you haven't seen it, let me give you a little bit of lowdown about it. I don't want to give out too much, but you know what? It'll be a spoiler alert. So I apologize for that if you haven't seen it. But this young man, I guess, a high schooler, but anyway, he grew up in a steel mill town, right? So just everybody was, blue collar worker. But his goal in life was to play football for the University of Notre Dame. That's all he wanted to do. He wore his Notre Dame jacket around pretty much throughout the whole movie. He told everybody, I'm going to, be a football player for Notre Dame. Okay, now if you haven't seen the movie, Rudy is like 5 feet nothing.
Yeah.
And probably 120 pounds. I mean, just a little guy, right? And you think about a little guy like that playing football for Notre Dame, no less. But that was what he stuck with it. And he was going to play football at Notre Dame. And, so obviously he didn't have, for one, the size, but also really the athletic ability to really play at Notre Dame. But that didn't let him, he just kept that goal. And then obviously, like I said, he was from a small town. He really didn't have the support of his community. He didn't have the support of his family, even. Everyone just kind of like laughed it off, right? Like, oh, yeah, sure, Rudy, you're going to play for the University of Notre Dame. Good luck with that. You're going to be a steel mill worker like everybody else who lives in this town, right? So he didn't really have the support of any of that either. But then also, his academics really weren't super great for even for him to get into Notre Dame, even without football, right? So instead of letting all these obstacles just go, take him back and just push him away from his dream, he figured out a way to like work through every single obstacle that came his way. So in his mind, he's like, hey, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show my family. I'm going to do this for my dad. I'm going to show the community that I'm going to be there. I'm going to do this. And he got himself a tutor. So he worked on his academics. So he was able to get into Notre Dame. Now, did he make the team? No, he did not make the team. But, you can be a walk-on, right? So he's joined in on the practice squad. And they used him, they abused him on that practice squad to no end. And he hung in there and he hung in there. Now he's probably like half the size of most of the people that he was playing against because they were the starters and he was on the, he was going against them. But he just kept at it and he kept at it and he kept coming back, practice after practice after practice, and just kept that goal in mind of wanting to run through the tunnel at some point in his Notre Dame career, right? Well, he never got called up to be on the team. Never got called up to be on the team. He's just kept coming in on the practice squad. So his last year, his senior year, he was like, I quit. I'm done with this. I'm so frustrated. I'm never going to get to be able to run through the tunnel. That was my dream, to run through the tunnel, not just be on the practice squad, but to run at least one time through the tunnel. Well, all his teammates really turned out to really respect him because he worked so stinking hard. And he had just the most incredible drive of anybody on the team. And so the captains over time really got to respect him. And they went to the coach and said, hey, we're not going to play unless you let Rudy come out the last game through the tunnel. And so they did. So he got to run through the tunnel and everything. Well, then he stood on the sidelines, right? So I think there was like 8 seconds left in the game. And Notre Dame was ahead and they were going to win the game. No, it wasn't super close where it was, any chance. So everybody started chanting, all the players started chanting, Rudy, Rudy, for Rudy to come into the game. Well, then the assistant coaches got on board and they started chanting away as well. And all the fans started chanting, and the whole arena was yelling for Rudy to come in because everybody really respected him and knew how hard he worked for it. And the coach was just kind of like, oh, gee, what do I do? And so finally, he's like, fine, just go in. So he got to go in on a special teams play. And then then okay, well, that was it. So then he's like, okay, now what do I do? And they're like, oh, just stay in. We got like 5 seconds now left. Well, he ended up sacking the quarterback in the last
Yeah.
5 seconds, and everybody put him up on their shoulders and ran him around. And oh, it was just quite the deal. So it goes to show, like, if you're working towards something in your health journey, right? And you think, oh gosh, how am I ever, this is my goal, but there's all these obstacles that just keep coming my way, right? Well, there's always going to be obstacles. Obstacles are just a constant in our life. They just keep coming at us, but there's always a way we can get over that obstacle. We may have to work a little harder. We may have to take a detour, but there is always a way that we can achieve what we're wanting to achieve.
And you might even have some setbacks to where you might not be able, you might have to take a couple of steps back, but you keep moving forward with it here,
Absolutely.
I think also one thing, Carolyn, about that movie was that when he was carried off the field, they've never carried another Notre Dame player off the field ever. So he was the only player ever to be carried off the field. And I'm talking about carried up triumphantly here, not carried off as in he got injured here,
right.
But
yes, but carried up high. Yeah. Isn't that something? Yeah, that's crazy.
So,
yeah.
But yeah,
and it's based on a true story as well for those who aren't familiar with the movies. So yeah.
What's so interesting about that whole movie is right before he's about to take the bus to go to college, he's waiting there at night, and his dad comes up and he tells him, hey, listen, these dreams that you have and everything like that, he said, they're just dreams. And then he told him what his dad had done about buying the dairy farm, and he lost all his cows, and then he lost all his money with that dream that he had. And what he did when he lost all his money, his dad left. His dad left his family there, left him, the boys, everybody left. So his dad's thinking, this is basically what's going to wind up happening to you,
Yeah.
But but he kept at it and just so driven. And unlike you, Carolyn, there's some parts of that movie I even tear up every time. When he breaks one of his obstacles here, it's like it's just like, oh my goodness, it's
just so inspiring.
So well done. Yeah. So well done.
Yes.
So well done. So
awesome. All right. Well, I want to hear about one of your favorites and why it affects you so much.
Well, okay. All right. So usually, like also with all sports movies, they always got an obstacle to come and a goal to meet here. So you guys have already seen a bits of one of my favorite movies, which is Rocky III. Now, the reason I picked this movie is because Rocky has to deal with different set of goals, because now in this one, he's become the champion, So this is almost kind of like, what happens when you actually meet your goal? How do you stay there? Do you just quit and say, okay, I did it, I can go home and I can rest and put my feet up and everything's good? No, it doesn't always work that way. A lot of times you have to wind up changing your approach to be able to stay where you are, or to maybe even excel yourself a little higher. So he winds up coming up. He's champion. He's had several championship fights, and he's done one. And he's a celebrity now. He's living the rich life. He's got a mansion. He's got a beautiful family. He's got everything he wants in life. But this other guy comes up, Clubber Lang, Mr. T, in his debut. I want to add there. But he's after Rocky. He wants his belt. But see, Rocky's never been in this position before. Rocky was always the one going after the goal. Now he's got somebody coming after him. And what happens to Rocky is he winds up getting afraid. He's afraid that he's now going to lose everything that he's worked so hard to get. That fear is now starting to take a hold of him. And of course, they fight the first time. and then he winds up losing. So he's done lost the match now. And what got him to where he was isn't going to work this time. What got him there? Just hard work and just being that, willing to take the punches and just move forward. That's not going to get him there. Now he has to change his whole approach to be able to conquer this next obstacle, which is now in front of him here. So what happens? It just happens, a stroke of luck. Apollo Creed wants to help him train so he can beat this guy. But he has to change his whole approach to be able to do this here. Instead of now climbing the steps that you see in Rocky 1 and 2, where he finally gets the wind and the energy to be able to climb the steps here. Now he has to have the speed and the quickness to be able to beat Apollo on the beach here. So in that little training segment right there, that's why they keep going back to them racing on the beach right there. That's now his stairs he has to go to, is he has to run and beat Apollo Creed to get the speed and the agility, and everything he's trained is now totally different than what it was here. So, but yeah, obstacle after obstacle, he has to do that here, But here's the thing also, he has to take that fear that is inside of him and he has to turn that into energy to be able to just say, you know what? I got to do this or I'm going to wind up regretting this for the rest of my life. What if I just say no and just quit right here and just say, that was one moment in my life where I said, you know what? I was too scared and I didn't do anything about it. That's something that would probably haunt you. We all come to those points
For sure.
in life here, we all come to those points in life. So, but yeah, that's one of the key moments right there, I believe. And just also just one of my favorite movies. And then of course, he winds up winning the fight, and he even has to change his strategy in that last round to be able to win this fight here, So, but I think the biggest thing is he had to overcome his fear of losing everything to be able to move his cell phone up to the next goal and meet that goal.
I think that's so common, right? Like like with Rudy, it's overcoming the obstacles to get to the dream. To get to the goal, which we all have to do as well. And then we get to the goal, but now what? Now we're afraid to lose what we just gained, right? So now it's like, okay, well, how do I maintain or how do I take another step forward? And I think with Rocky too, it sticks out to me as, Apollo obviously was his rival, in 1 and 2. And so sometimes we have to ask for help. Right. And that's okay too. So think about that in your in your personal and your professional career. Sometimes we have to ask people to help us. And there's nothing wrong with that because what we learn from other people. So hey, you were successful on your journey. How can you how can you help me get to where I want to go to? And he realized that. And that's a big step, I think, as well, is really realizing sometimes we need some help.
Apollo sees things totally. He sees it from the outside. He is not, he's not Rocky. So he sees exactly what Rocky needs to be able to beat Clubber Lang here. Rocky can't see it because he's him.
Exactly.
So so it's like, oh, if this guy has a little bit more speed, he'd be able to beat this guy here. So
for sure.
So and he has to totally train him a totally different way. So
right. That's kind of our main theme here. Don't get discouraged. Keep pushing forward on your goals. Sometimes you need to tweak things and change things up. It doesn't mean you're not going to achieve your goal. You just maybe have to take a different way around it. That's all. And everybody's putting in some really great movies. And the second one to me would be like Remember the Titans. A couple people put that in there, and that's one of my favorites as well. And same with We Are Marshall. To me, they both just really represent a lot of teamwork and collaboration on how you can work together to achieve a goal. And I think those are really inspiring and really great winning at Wellbeing movies too, because we do need other people to help us. We have to work together. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The
Awesome.
Replacements is also another one of my favorites. It's a football movie, teamwork here. But I think the main thing with that, of course, I have a phone call.
Of course.
Carolyn, take over for a second here, okay?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, so I know Jimmy loves, he loves The Replacements is another great movie as well. If you haven't seen that one, that's another great
Sorry
one
about
to look
that.
at. But so take notes of all these great movies people are putting in the chat. If you're a big sports movie buff like Jimmy and I, so these are really great ones to tune into if you're looking for a fun, inspiring, great movie. Christine says yes, The Replacements.
Yeah, yeah. Real
Great.
quick about that. That's just about all about second chances here. Even though you blow it, even though you blow it in a big moment, you can still come back with a second chance and maybe even come back and achieve your goal here. So
Yeah.
don't ever quit on it. Don't ever quit it and just give up on it. You can always come
Absolutely.
back.
Always
So
come
absolutely.
back. That's
Yeah.
so true. Yes, always overcome adversity. One of the new ones out that I watched not too long ago was Unstoppable. That was
Yeah.
really good. I think it was on Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken, but that was really good if you haven't got a chance to see that. That just came out
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
And that was really good about overcoming adversity as well. So,
And if
yeah, so
anybody
feel free
hasn't
to.
seen Rudy, it's on Netflix right now. If anybody has Netflix, it's on there. So
There you
yeah.
go. Plug for Rudy. Excellent. Yeah, so this is a fun chat, and Jimmy and I seriously could sit on here and talk about movies and sports and then sports movies all day because like sports and movies are like two of my favorite things. So and soundtracks from movies.
Oh my goodness,
About
yes.
the music, right? So thanks for being with us. We'll stay on if anybody has questions or just wants to let us know, hey, what movie you liked and why. We're happy to learn and listen in as well. But if you need to go, thanks so much for being here with us, and we'll see you at the next Coach's Corner.
Thank you for joining us.
Isaac says, cool runnings. I just love to see all these. They're fun.
Oh, I know. I forgot all about Cool Runnings.
Yeah, that's such a fun one. Jamaican team learning how to bobsled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, documentaries too are always those are always interesting, I think, as well. There's a lot of great ones out there on that. Michael Jordan's documentary, big
Oh
Michael
my
Jordan
goodness.
fan. That's
Yes.
really good. The Last
Absolutely.
Dance. Yeah.
Hmm.
Ooh, Ice Castle's the original one. Yes, Linda. Love that.
I think they're about to do another documentary on Larry Bird.
Oh, they are.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think with Netflix here, I believe so. So yeah.
Yeah, watch for that. That would be fun too. All right. Well, it doesn't look like anybody has any more questions or anything. So again, thanks so much for joining us. And